Welcome to the Golden State Media Concepts Travel Podcast, the show that gives you advice on everything travel. We explore places you've always wanted to go, as well as giving tips for traveling in those places. We'll give you advice on the best sites for travel tips, information, and discounts. Join us as we travel the world, explore cultures, and meet new people. The Golden State Media Concepts Travel Podcast has got you covered.
Thank you for tuning in to the GSMC Travel Podcast. I'm your host, Brian Chambers. Hello and welcome to everyone, no matter where you are in the world. I hope you're doing great and you're happy and healthy. So it's time to get that favorite drink or that blanket or favorite best friend, that little fur friend of yours, and curl up and get ready to talk some travel. That's right. In this episode, we're going to talk about some of the top music festivals, food and wine festivals, and film festivals to go to here in the States. But make sure you stick around to the end of the show because I'm going to give you my top 10 oddest festivals that you probably have never heard of. That's right. So let's dive right in. Jumping right into our first segment, we're going to get into some of the music festivals that if you are a music buff and you love festivals, these are two festivals that you should not miss. The first one I'm going to talk about is none other than Coachella. That's right. Coachella. If you don't know what Coachella is, it actually is the Coachella Valley Music and Arts Festival. So it's a very big deal. It's probably one of the largest festivals that is held here in the States or at least for music festivals. And Coachella is not only just a large and well-known music festival, it's kind of the who's who of who's going to a festival, right? There's a lot of celebrities and high-profile artists and just incredible amounts of people there. It's like a very high-end version of Woodstock, in my opinion. Of course, I was never at Woodstock. I know I was not old enough. I wasn't even born, but anyway, Coachella is what it's held at the Empire Polo Club in Indio, California, in the Coachella Valley. So it's a big deal, and a lot of people call it nowadays the most Instagrammable event of the year. Like I said, it features performances from some of music's biggest stars, and that includes some bands in the past like Oasis, Jay-Z, Lady Gaga, Kanye West, Red Hot Chili Peppers. I mean, there's just a slew of names and people that I'm sure you have heard of. No matter where you are in your music style or your genre, you've heard of some of these artists. And the other thing is there's so many different stages that there's a chance that your style or an artist that you might have heard of or would want to see is at this event. It's a very big deal. It typically takes place in October, and you have the 2 weekends to choose from when going to this. Now, this year it was supposed to be October 9th through Sunday, October 18th. But, of course, they've had to change plans thanks to COVID-19. So we have altered, but they will honor tickets or honor if you had purchased depending on what ticket price or level you got. They are going to honor those for the following year for the festivals, what I've been told on their website and things like that. So if you did get tickets and you are planning to go to Coachella and that was all a big thing for you to travel to this year, then have no fear. You should be already set for next year. And I believe that they're moving it up into April is what I believe that they're going to be doing. But regardless, Coachella, if you don't have tickets to Coachella, you probably won't get tickets unless you're going to go through a third party or find someone who has tickets. That's how popular this festival is. And so if you want to get that car of group of people together or take a plane out to California for one of the biggest music festivals in the U.S., this would be your chance. Now, this festival sells out it's said it sells out in about 6 hours. And I've heard of people that are trying to get tickets to this, and within that half day or that first day, if you wait too long, they haven't been able to get tickets. So it is not a myth. It does sell out very, very quickly. And the price is also something that you're going to have to be looking at, because not everyone wants to pay this much for a music festival. So the general admission passes are typically about $400, and that you have to pay fees on top of that. So you're looking at about $400 plus just for a general admission pass. Now, they do offer VIP festival passes, and those can range somewhere like about $900 to $1,000. So with fees and things included. So those are kind of your price range. You have the kind of the general admission or the VIP festival pass that you can get. Now, if you've never been to a music festival, you have to realize that going to the festival typically means that you're going to be camping. That's right, camping. If you are not a camper or you don't have a luxurious car to spend your weekend in or, make your campsite, then this might not be for you. But there are camping and travel packages that you can get. They have VIP parking, and they also do have shuttle passes that you will receive, so you can get shuttled back and forth from where you park and camp to the festival itself, which is actually a really good thing, because you don't want people camping and just living in the area where all the concerts and things are going on. It's good that they keep it separate, in my opinion, because that just can be a huge mess. So the other thing about when you get the VIP ticket, you get entry into the venue and all 3 VIP venue areas. So they have 3 VIP venue areas that you can get access into. So if you're one of those people that likes to get a VIP type of status and you want to get into these 3 locations, that you can with this pass. So you are going to pay for it, though. But when you pay for that, you will get, access to places to sit down and, different, more amenities that you wouldn't get with the general admission, just kind of in general. I mean, that's kind of goes to say with getting a VIP pass. So there's plenty of food and beverage and vendors, as well as cash bars, but I've been told that the cash bars are only in specific sides on the sides of the stage, and you have to stay in those areas when you go to get drinks. So, because they're trying to make it a very family friendly is what I have read up a lot on, that they're just trying to make it more accessible. Now, personally, if I had a kid or, my family was with me, Coachella wouldn't exactly be my personal choice for venues to go to. But if you love music festivals and you're that kind of family, hey, more power to you. I think go for it. Now, it goes across, like I was saying, it has multiple stages, 5 stages to be exact. They have the Coachella stage, the outdoor theater, the Gobi tent, the Mojave tent, and the Sahara tent. So those are 5 different stages with all different acts going on throughout the day, pretty much the entire time that the festival is going on. And usually the headliners will always go on towards the end or those prime spots. Again, you need to just double-check schedules about when and what artists that you're looking to see and what time that they go on. So that usually is posted on their website. So now let's just get back a little bit to the camping thing. All the campground attendees must be 18 years old. So just know that you have to be 18, or if you are under 18, you can go with a parent or legal guardian. So just make sure that you are aware of that. If you're under 18 and you're thinking, I'm just going to go to Coachella, be aware that you have to be able to show ID and you have to have a pass, okay? Some things that can be brought in, though, baby strollers, it's a yes. Backpacks, purses, handbags, totes, and fanny packs, you can, but they have to be a certain size. 20 inches by 15 inches by 9 inches is what it says. You can bring in small blankets and beach towels so that way you can have something to sit on, which I highly recommend because anytime you go to some kind of festival where you have to be sitting around or there's lots of people, it's just always good to have something to sit on. There you can bring a camera, of course, because, everyone's cell phone has a camera, but you can't have detachable lenses, those big, fancy, big lenses, you can't have those. And then, of course, the e-cigarettes and cigarettes and things like that are okay. Are the only things that you can bring in. So, but yes, those are things that you want to just be aware of. But Coachella is huge. It's huge. It's huge. And let me just say there's a chance you're going to run into, someone of a celebrity status possibly, but there's so many people. If you're a music buff and wanting to make sure that you check out one of the top music festivals in the U.S., Coachella is it. It comes with that price tag, but getting out to California is, it's the California dream, right? So the other one I wanted to mention is South by Southwest Music Festival. Now this one I actually love more than Coachella. Now personally, I have not been to Coachella. I'm not as big a music buff fan as far as the festivals go. I love live music. But I have been to South by Southwest, and South by Southwest I loved. It has an incredible amount of people. But let me just tell you, the reason that I love South by Southwest is because it also has not just music, but it also has film as well as comedy. So it's a festival for small films or independent films and, comedians. So you can see upcoming comics and see, there's different badges that you can get. You can get the music badge, or you can get the comedy badge, or you can get the film badge. And not only do they have concerts going on, and they have upwards of 2,000 musical acts alone, and that's according to their website, that happen on stages all across Austin. That's right. It's in Austin, Texas. And they have over 2,000 musical acts at over 90 venues. So that's a lot. So if you think Coachella is big, imagine, going a week down to Austin and seeing over 2,000 different acts, of music, or having your choice of that. So that's a lot. That's a lot of variety. And that's not even counting the film and comedy badges that you can get. So, just talking on the music aspect here, because we are talking about music festivals. It started in the late 80s as a local music festival, and it has grown into a premier launching point for up-and-coming, of course, music acts and under-the-radar movies, as well as tech startups and comedians. So that's right. Not only is there things like films to view, but there's seminars and business strategy meetings and things like that, so you can network. So South by Southwest has actually become a huge deal and known for its music, but also now being known for other things just as well. So it's kind of hard to put it in as a music festival, but it makes it very unique. As far as music goes, if you're wondering, who will have been to Austin, Texas in this music festival when you have, people like Lady Gaga going to Coachella? Well, people like Amy Winehouse, The Strokes, the White Stripes. Those are just a few people. You've had people like Jay-Z, Bruce Springsteen that have played South by Southwest. And then just a little glance on the film side, they hosted a little known premiere of a movie called Bridesmaids. That's right. That movie that I'm sure you guys know by me just saying that, it was a premiere at South by Southwest at the film festival there. So it's just an amazing thing. Oh, and I didn't even mention on the tech side of things, there's some companies that you may have heard of. I don't know, Twitter and Foursquare. Those are just some of the tech companies that go. So you can imagine the people in the network between music, film, tech, art. It's just incredible. And not to mention, Austin is an incredible city for food. So you have a big melting pot for one of what I would consider, to me, more desirable than Coachella. And that's just my opinion, not just because I've been there, but just because of what it offers. So that speaks to me a whole lot more. And it's also a little bit easier to find accommodations because you're not camping. So if you don't want to have to deal with that shower situation and, or paying for a shower, because at Coachella you get a free shower, or you can get the VIP shower and pay for it. But again, if you're doing that free shower, just think of how many people that you're having to share shower things with. You go to Austin, you already have your accommodations. You look into, there's plenty of local hotels and things to look at. But the other thing you want to do is make sure you get on early. So if you know that South by Southwest in Austin, Texas is where you want to be, then you need to make sure you plan for that ahead of time and book that hotel stay at least 6 months out. That's right, 6 months out. I know you're thinking like, well, okay, so Austin, Texas, California, Texas, obviously it's got to be cheaper. Well, to be honest, South by Southwest prices can be just as expensive, if not more, than Coachella, which I thought was a little surprising over the years, because when I went, it wasn't quite this expensive. But now to go, you're going to pay upwards about $800 to anywhere close to $1,200 for early tickets. That's right. And they will only increase over time. So you're looking probably, if you don't get them early enough, you're looking at paying $1,300 to maybe $1,600 for walk-up tickets. And, there are deals that are made that you can find through third-party vendors and things like that. But most of those people and companies that buy up those tickets and are trying to sell them are wanting to get some kind of extra profit for it. So you're not really going to find a deal there. So getting on that early is the best thing to do. It's what we did when we went, and it turned out great. We actually got a really good deal on the music badge. And I wish I was able to purchase another badge, honestly, but I was going for the music that year. This is 10 days of networking, learning, and discovering. That's it. You get film, culture, music, technology all in one. It typically is in March. Now, this year, they had to cancel, of course, due to COVID. It was supposed to be scheduled from March 13th through the 22nd. So hopefully next year it's going to be alive and well and going just as strong, because it is a huge deal in Austin. So there you go. Those are my two top music festivals. Even though South by Southwest kind of falls into some of the other categories, they are some of the top music festivals in the U.S. to go, in my opinion. So check out Coachella and South by Southwest. Coming up after the break, I'm going to be talking about some food and wine festivals that you are not going to want to miss. So stick with us.
Are you tired of the same old news? Are you sick of the seemingly endless political spin and negativity? The GSMC America's Still Beautiful podcast is a weekly news podcast covering all the top positive and uplifting news stories. We cover stories that will inspire, uplift, and remind you of the good in the world. Tune into the Golden State Media Concepts America's Still Beautiful podcast to get all the great and positive news stories of today. Download the GSMC America's Still Beautiful podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type GSMC in the search bar.
Welcome back, and thanks for staying with us. We just finished talking about two of the best music festivals to travel to here in the U.S. And right now, I want to get into some of the best food and wine festivals that you are going to want to travel to here in the U.S. But make sure you stay with us all the way till the end, because I'm going to give you my top 10 most bizarre or odd festivals that I'm sure you have never heard of. So let's dive into food. One of my favorite topics when talking about travel is food. I absolutely adore food. And again, for those of you that listen to the podcast and you've listened to my podcast and know I talk about food all the time, it's hard for me not to let food get into the conversation when talking about travel. And I will say this over and over again, because food is just an extension of our culture and our styles and areas around the world. And it's part of travel, no matter where you are. And I think that everyone knows that and realizes it, but sometimes it's easy to forget. And it's even easy to forget how wonderful food is in our own backyard. You know, we always think sometimes that the grass is greener on the other side, or we need to go to Europe or Asia, you know, or South America, or, you know, wherever in the world to try these incredible cuisines. And to be honest, we just have to sometimes look right here in our own backyard for some amazing, amazing cuisines that has a wonderful culture and story to it, because there's a lot of things. Food tells a story. It absolutely does. And there are 1,000 festivals, you know, when looking at all of this, and I knew when I was thinking of this topic, I knew the ones that I wanted to talk about right away, but I started researching a little bit, and there are so many different kinds of food festivals and wine festivals and food and wine festivals all over the U.S. It's incredible. I mean, I don't think there's a single city that you can go to that doesn't have a food and wine festival or some kind of festival with an extension of food. You know, in Houston, where I live, we have what's called Restaurant Week, although it was a week long, and now it's been extended to a month. And that's where different restaurants all around the city offer a specific set menu that you can go and to the restaurant, and you can just order it for like one price. So it becomes, you know, I'm going to get an entree, you know, or a starter, an entree, a dessert, you know, all for one price. And it's usually typically a really good deal. And this is a way for people to get introduced to different restaurants or to experience those restaurants and food, and then come back you know, when it's not during the restaurant week. But like I said, there are other wines and food and beverage festivals that happen where I live, but every city I think has them. And there's some amazing ones. San Francisco has an amazing food and wine festival, you know, and there's also LA. There's so many. But I do want to talk about two of the big ones, and I think they are worth mentioning. They are on my bucket list. Actually, both of these. And you might be surprised what my second one is going to be. But I'm going to start with the big guns, okay? So the first one I'm going to talk about is the Aspen Food and Wine Classic. So if you're not familiar with the Aspen Food and Wine Classic, it typically takes place during June. And it is some of the world's best chefs that come together. And this has been, they're celebrating their, I believe it's their 38th. I can't tell if this year actually counts or not because of what's been going on. But I believe it's the 38th anniversary of one of the top culinary events. It's a 3-day event in Aspen. So unlike the festivals where they're going on, you know, a week or, you know, 2 weeks, you know, 10 days, this is only 3 days. So you have only 3 days. It's in Aspen, Colorado, which that area in June is breathtaking. You know, it's breathtaking. It's green. There's the mountains. There's so much outdoor, just the fresh air. It's amazing because they have all these tents that are set up just everywhere, and you have access into these, and there's cooking demonstrations and tastings. And, you know, it is just, my mouth's watering thinking about it. I mean, it's incredible. It's incredible. It does come with a hefty price tag, though. It's probably one of the most expensive food and wine festivals that you could probably attend to, but it's one of the most sought after because of the people and the culinary experts that attend this. This is a food lover's and a wine lover's dream to go to. So if you are already sitting there going, I'm a food lover, I love wine, and you don't know where to go because you are just torn in so many different directions and have seen so many different festivals advertised, well, this is it. This is the big one right here. So I recommend this. It's, like I said, it's a food and wine paradise to go to. The price tag in it is a little bit high. Like I said, it can range up about $1,300 per person to go. And that is not including your hotel or your accommodations. So keep that in mind. So you're literally paying about $1,200 to $1,300 per person to get into the festival for the 3 days, and you have to get accommodations. So what I recommend is finding someone who lives in the area. If you know, hey, you're already doing a lot better than me. Or check into Airbnbs and look at some of those accommodations, because you can find a really great deal. The problem is that a lot of the prices go up like any high season of anything going on. People in Aspen and the area are well aware of what happens in June, and so the price goes up, unfortunately. So the earlier you can get on that and book, the better, and the more likely you're going to pay a smaller rate on those Airbnbs and some of those hotels. So for a festival like this, you're going to have to think out a little bit farther in advance. Unless money is not an issue for you, then hey, give me a call, take me. I will do whatever you want to go to this. It sounds like I would just be in heaven. So, like I said, you get a pass for 3 days, okay? And passes go on sale usually in late fall. So that's when you're going to want to be looking. So now 2020 obviously was postponed. So next year you're going to want to be looking for this fall, this year, to look for 2021. Okay, the exact dates have not been determined yet, but that is what you're going to want to be looking for. So be aware. I mean, there are people that attend this, like Martha Stewart. That's just one name. You can look at Richard Blaze if you know any of these names. They're, Andrew Zimmerman. These are all Tom Colicchio. These are all people that are just kings in the culinary world, and they are there and they are doing cooking demonstrations. There's plenty of shopping to showcase new cooking things and styles, and not to mention the wine and the food. And because it's a food festival, one thing is that you're going around and you're tasting a lot of different types of foods, and people are like, oh, well, I don't get to sit down and eat. And to be honest, you can get filled up really fast. I've been to several different food festivals, and the portions they give you want them to be a little bit small. Sometimes it tastes so good you just want more of it, which I completely understand. But in a festival like that, you are going to be tasting things throughout the day and drinking throughout the day. You're going to want to pace yourself. It's a marathon. It is not a sprint. Because if you go through that and eat everything in sight, you are not really going to enjoy it the way that you should, and you are going to feel just a little bit bloated. So make sure you make room, and make sure you pace yourself to have a good time. Not only is there that festival going on, which is amazing, and you're going to have a fantastic time, but you can explore the city of Aspen. And a lot of people only think about going to Aspen when it snows, but there's so much to do there in Aspen when it's absolutely gorgeous out and there's no snow on the ground. Not saying that snow can't be gorgeous and that can't be wonderful weather, but if I was going to choose between hiking in the mountains or hiking where there's snow, I'm going to go with no snow. So, like I said, there's plenty of things to do in Aspen. There's plenty of trails, outdoor activities. You can whitewater raft. You can use the bike sharing company called We Cycle, W-E Cycle, allowing a lot of locals and visitors to bike wherever they need, and it's a really neat kind of bike sharing company that you can utilize while you're there. It has more than 100 bikes and 15 stations around town. So you don't actually have to drop it back and forth at the same station. You can ride a bike across town, experience or enjoy the weather, and then drop it off at one of the other stations. So there's little things like that you can do. Of course, there's a lot of different vineyards in the area that you can visit. So you want to really explore this and give it a chance. But the main reason to go, and you should not mistake that, is going to be for the Food and Wine Festival. So right there, that is my number one. That's my big dog right there. So let me jump into my second one, because I think this one's going to surprise you guys just a little bit. And my second recommended Food and Wine Festival to go to is the Epcot Food and Wine Festival. That's right, you heard me. I said the Epcot Food and Wine Festival, as in Epcot in Disney World. That's right. I know a lot of you are like, really? Disney World? it has, not only is it a food and wine festival that brings food from around the world, but it goes on for over 6 weeks. So right away, the chances of getting to Epcot in Florida and Disney World is a little bit higher. It gives you a little bit more chance to get over there to visit. And not only do you have this festival there, in Epcot, you can spend the day, if someone likes the food and wine, you want to go to Disney World, go to Magic Kingdom. Who doesn't want Mickey Mouse, a glass of wine, and a delicious, well, you name it, fried something. I don't know why fried came to my mind, but, that's, to me, it's wonderful. And I'm glad that they do it because they bring and showcase food and wine from over 25 countries. And it's a little bit of an around the world type of situation in Epcot if you've never been. So you go and they're situated and the vendors are kind of around the area of Epcot, and it's kind of situated by country in the little towns that they have there. So it's just a wonderful kind of situation. It's a great way to explore, and really they emphasize the cultural difference there, which I think is even better because a lot of the other food and wine festivals, they want to showcase the food and wine, which is great, and that's what it's supposed to do. But with going to the Epcot Food and Wine, you get a little bit more with it as well, which I think is wonderful, and it makes it a little more family-friendly. So, obviously, you don't want to be giving people that are not of age to be drinking, but there's plenty of food and different styles for everyone in the family. So not only are you able to taste things, you can explore the international kiosks. They have cooking demonstrations as well, mixology classes, wine tastings, and they have live music performances. That's right. They have live music performances. The annual Food and Wine Festival is popular, and so it is something that, you are going to want to check out if you are going to be down in Disney World in late September to mid-November. That's when it happens. Now, this year, because of COVID, things are being pushed back. So everything's kind of up in the air. So this year is one of the wild card years, but Disney World will bring it back. So if it doesn't happen this year, make sure that you check into it. Again, going to Disney is like a year in planning in its own. But they have 30 food and drink kiosks throughout Epcot. So that's representing different areas of the country, or different countries and areas of the world. So 30 different kiosks to try, which is a lot. You think, well, I could do more than 30. When you get those plates and after eating like 3 of them, again, coming from experience, you are going to start to get really full, and you're going to be looking for whoever's with you to finish that last bite because you want to try that dessert that you've been having your eye on, right? So now this is also a little bit more budget friendly. And when I say budget friendly, of course, that means you still have to get to Disney World itself, but you don't have to stay in Disney World to go to the Food and Wine Festival. It's going to cost you $97 or $100 or something like that to get into Epcot, because you have to pay to get into Epcot. So that's what the cost is going to be. And then you can go around, and of course you have to pay to eat and sample the foods. But they have a tasting sampler that you can get, and it's about $60, and it's per guest. That's $60 per guest. And that gives you 8 food and drink entitlements, as well as priority seating for the concert. So if you buy that, that gives you 8 plates of, food and drink that you can try. And you can always purchase more. And it's usually recommended to budget about $100 to $150 when going to the Food and Wine Festival at Epcot. That's roughly what most people end up paying, about $100 to $150, because you always spend a little bit more. You just do. It's one of those things, especially when it's delicious and it's just wonderful. You're going to want to spend a little bit more on that. But you get that priority seating. They are in this year's the 25th year of the Epcot International Food and Wine Festival. Again, I don't know if you count it because it was the 25th anniversary in 2020. And if it's not happening, again, I'm not sure if they say that next year's the 25th anniversary or they say it's the 26th anniversary. I would assume that they would say next year's the 25th anniversary of it. But it's definitely one that you don't want to miss. I know it surprised everyone, but the quality of the culinary arts scene that Disney is bringing into Epcot in this festival is fantastic. And not just into the festival, and Disney Springs and around the parks and other areas there in Florida, they are bringing some world-class renowned culinary geniuses, and they're opening restaurants and bringing them into the hotels. And so the food that you're going to get is going to be well worth the trip to Florida. So trust me. Okay, those are my 2 food and wine festivals. So you're going to want to stick with us, though, because when we come back, we are going to talk a little bit of film.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Welcome back, and thanks for staying with us. We were just talking about food and wine festivals that you should not miss if that is your jam. And I recommended, just letting you know, the Aspen Culinary Food and Wine Festival, and of course the Epcot International Food and Wine Festival. So make sure that you check those out. But we're going to change gears just a little bit. We're going to get into a little bit of film. That's right. I know there's a lot of you that are movie buffs. So if you're a movie buff like myself, you might jump at the chance to go to one of these 2 film festivals. And one thing that I learned about film festivals when I went was that you have to be really just paying attention to everything. And that's not just in the movie theater, just with everything going on around, because there's more than just the films themselves that are happening. And if you just show up to a film festival like going to a movie, or you're just going to several different, viewings and films, yes, you're getting to see upcoming directors, artists, actors, and films, and really beautiful artistic talent, but you're not paying attention to who is there and what's happening and why they're doing it. So you miss on the artistic side of it, and it really makes a more immersive experience when you go to these film festivals. So the first one I'm going to talk about is the Tribeca Film Festival, which was founded in 2002 by Jane make sure I say her name right, Jane Rosenthal, and Robert De Niro, as well as Craig Hatkoff. So it was said that the Tribeca was formed in 2002 it was basically kind of prone to be an answer or call to after the 9/11 call, and it was to help the art in New York, and that's what it was said to. Now, whether that was the reason for it, there's many people that have stated that. I don't, without a direct quote from one of them, we'll never know. But it has created this uproar of artistic talent in the Tribeca area. which is wonderful. So the festival is held, like I said, in Tribeca, neighborhood of Manhattan. And it showcases a diverse selection of independent films. So so independent films. So you're not going to see a lot. But these days, independent films come from anywhere. I think that's what the really incredible part about it is, because you're probably holding a camera that you could go out and shoot an independent film with. Your phone, right there. The cameras in our phones these days, or even the cameras that we just get, the digital cameras that we can buy that have the video and as well as pictures on them, you can go out and make an independent film. If you choose to, you can make a low-budget movie and you could present it and turn it into these festivals. So not only can you be a participant as someone who's viewing the films, but you can be a participant in someone who's submitting a film. And I think that is what is really beautiful about these festivals. Now, some of them are a little bit higher end than others. And when I say that, I don't mean necessarily by price. I mean by status or what directors and actors are going to these festivals and what types of films are being submitted. So this is still what I would consider one of the smaller ones. So even though there are celebrities and there are actors and directors that show up to view these films and things like that, and producers and all kinds of things, it is open to the public. So don't think that you have to be like some kind of special person to get into the Tribeca Film Festival. You just have to go onto their website and make sure that you get tickets in time. Now, of course, this year got pushed back, but that's okay. Again, COVID strikes again, right? So this festival typically takes place in June, in early June, or mid to late June. This year was scheduled for June 9th. I'm sorry, next year is scheduled for June 9th through the 20th. So this was a little earlier. So it's going to be the 20th anniversary, and June 9th through the June 20th, 2021. So they are going to be having it next year. So it's not going away. So, I mean, that's really great to see. Again, to see these festivals to go on that long is really a wonderful, wonderful thing. And it's, again, not just film. You have panels that talk about the film and discussions, and you get to meet the actors and directors in some of these films. Now, again, it's not a one ticket gets into everything, or you have to buy single tickets to each thing. You buy packages is how you get into the festivals. So you go on and you can purchase either, an 8-ticket package or a 16, or, so it just depends what you want, how much you want to see, and where you want to go. There are galas and other events that take place. So if you're wanting to check out some more of those type of events or give to the, to the festival and be more involved, there are ways to do that. And they also have other things like virtual arcade. This year they're doing drive-ins. They're actually having a Tribeca drive-in, which is really kind of neat. And they're just an amazing type of thing to check out, and to see these independent shorts, documentaries, full length. I mean, you have a plethora of them. Director and cast and crew are often there on hand for Q&A. So that's what really makes these desirable. That's why most people go. But I think Tribeca is one that is a little underrated. Now, they are still looking, in my opinion, trying to find more of an identity. They've had several big movies and things come out of them independently, but I think that they've been all over the board as far as the types of films and things that have been coming out lately. A lot of things on war and nuclear discussions and things like that. And it goes with the times, I understand. But, they had a showing of the Avengers years ago when it was still, new and things like that. So you never know what's going to pop up with these. So I think they're trying to maintain that uniqueness. But right now, I think they're still searching in that sense for what their true identity as a film festival really is. But either way, it's a really neat thing to do and go to when you're in New York. So if you happen to be up that way, or you want to travel to New York and you want to go in June, you might want to put this on the list. I think it'd be worth your time. It absolutely would be worth your time. Okay, jumping into my second recommended Film Festival is a big one. And like the food festival, I went with the big guns first. This one, I kind of saved it. The Sundance Film Festival. That's right. This is, again, one of those iconic festivals that if you haven't heard of the Sundance Film Festival, then maybe you haven't gone to the movies very often, because I'm sure you've heard the term thrown around in random conversations when talking about any type of film. And this is one of the largest independent film festivals in the U.S. Just to give you an idea, not even that long ago, it was said that around 40 to 45,000 people attended the festival in 2016. That's how many people can possibly go to this festival. It is a very big deal. It's held in January in Park City, Salt Lake City. So again, if you are more prone to non-snow type locations and travel, this may not be a choice for you. If you can brush that off and get a nice warm coat on, I'm going to highly recommend this one, because not only are you up there in the gorgeous snow in Salt Lake City, you are at the Sundance Resort. So there is skiing and other things that you are going to be able to do. So, I mean, right away, you're there. It's high profile. So if you're one of those that loves the chance of running into directors and celebrities, this is another film festival that you won't want to miss. Now, the really neat thing about this film festival is, and why it's widely popular in my opinion, is that you receive money for winning awards through this festival, because it's so lucrative and there's so many people that attend and help with this foundation. So Sundance was founded in 1981 by Robert Redford. So the Sundance Institute is a nonprofit organization. So, but the Sundance Film Festival was founded in 1985. And it has just taken off, and every year it seems like it gets bigger and bigger. You know, they approximately have 200 featured length and short films that are selected each year. So it's a very high honor to be selected for this. So it goes through a lot of different people. And so if you are a filmmaker or someone that gets selected for this, hey, congratulations, that is awesome. And as a participant and someone who loves storytelling, and these days a lot of films and things are there's a lot of travel being involved with a lot of films. So there's a lot of location things. It's not all about digital or the green screens and things like that. You're seeing more location-based films, in my opinion, these days, and I think that's kind of wonderful. And it brings that travel. I mean, you think about Lord of the Rings. They were in New Zealand for I don't know how long, filming all those movies, you know, and getting to be with the people and the culture and what it did for those cities and countries that those larger films were in. You know, it's a wonderful thing. But again, this is an independent film, so these are a lot of films that you might have heard of the actors and directors that are involved with them, but the film and the concepts of some of these movies you may not have heard of. And it just because it's high profile doesn't mean that you can't attend. You can. You're just going to have to pay for it. So these high profile festivals come with a little bit of a price. Okay? And like I said, it is a very, very big deal. They get over 15,000 film submissions from over 140 countries. That's a lot. That's a lot. I don't envy the people that have to sift through all of those films over and over again. But I think it's a wonderful thing to have. I mean, last year, over 120,000 people attended and supported the Sundance Film Festival. I mean, it creates an insane amount of jobs for the area, which is wonderful as well as that economic boom. So it helps. So just like tourism and travel, when you travel to different countries and different places, you help those economies, as well as experiencing them. So this is just another way to do that. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about the cost, okay? Of course, this takes place, like I talked about, in winter, January, late January, the end of January. And next year, it's going to be January 21st through the 31st for 2021. So if you're already thinking about that, it's probably a little late to be thinking about it now. But I don't want to say that you can't do it. So You don't know unless you try. So you can go on their website and see if you can get tickets. And again, depending how you want to budget your money will depend what you're going to get. So let's check out about passes here. So the cost of tickets ahead of time, if you budgeted correctly, the pre-purchase ticket package costs about $600 for a book of 10 tickets. You can save money by buying individual tickets for $25, I think they said it was. And that's if they're not sold out. Or you can go $20 via electronic waiting list system that they have. So they recommend that you attend the first week if you can. It seems like a lot of the film festivals that take place over multiple weekends peak, on the first Saturday or Sunday. So the first week is what they consider more networking focused, while the second week is more about the screening. So if you're just about the screenings, then maybe the second week would be for you. I like the networking aspect, but it's not because I'm trying to rub elbows with celebrities and directors and things like that. But I will say it's a perk to run into somebody who I admire their craft with and getting to see those panels and do that. I think that's really neat. But I just like the buzz of it. I like the excitement and everything that goes around with that first week when it's like when something's really fresh and exciting, at first you get it. It's like when the latest gadget or something comes out or something that someone has to get and they get it and there's a lot of buzz and excitement. So I think that kind of plays a little bit of a role with the film festivals that are over multiple weekends. So there's plenty of different things to do besides the films themselves, Q&A, panels, talkbacks, and like I said, you're in Utah, right there in Salt Lake City. And so there is skiing to be done. There's outdoor activities, shopping, but it's recommended that you go and check out exhibits at the Music Cafe or the New Frontier Expo. And also, they say in between screenings to check out the Filmmaker Lodge. So those are things that you're going to want to keep an eye on. So there you go. Right there. 2 film festivals worth traveling for. I gave you 1 New York, 1 Utah. So we got snow and non-snow. You make your pick. I think they'd both be wonderful choices. Stick around because when we come back, I'm going to give you my top 10 most bizarre festivals that you have never heard of. You're not going to want to miss it.
The GSMC Life and Happiness Podcast takes you on a journey of exploration. We'll discuss tried and true methods alongside the latest trends of how to best live your life to its fullest and happiest. From psychology to meditation, science to self-help books, the GSMC Life and Happiness Podcast will help you to discover what makes you happy and how you can live life being the best you possible. Download the GSMC Life and Happiness Podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type GSMC in the search bar.
Welcome back. We were just discussing 2 great film festivals that you should definitely put into those travel plans. But as promised, for sticking with me to the end, I'm going to be going through some of the oddest festivals that you have never heard of. And to be honest, some of these I had never heard of when I was looking them up. So let's dive right into it, all right? Number 10, the Under the Big Sky Festival. It's in Whitefish, Montana, and it is July 13th. Well, this past year, it was supposed to be July 13th through the 24th, so it's typically in July. And what this is the name. I mean, the name says it all, pretty much. I mean, it's you sip a beverage and listen to music under, the beautiful sky of Montana. I mean, it's a wonderful time of year. The weather's gorgeous. So this Under the Big Sky Festival brings out, mainstays like Band of Horses, Dwight Yoakam, Jenny Lewis. I mean, so you get all these big names in festivals. So you're out just enjoying being outdoors. And I mean, it's really great. And it's in one of the most beautiful places that you can think of, Glacier National Park, which is right down the road there. So check it out if you're in Montana. Worth checking out. I never heard of it, but you know, they get some pretty big names. Number nine. Firefly Music Festival in Dover, Delaware. That's right. This is in June. And this festival, I mean, is relatively young, so it hasn't been around a long time. But it's become one of the best music events in the world, according to some people. And, you know, you can really catch a nap amongst the trees between all these sets. You know, it's a very popular music festival. And people like Post Malone, Zedd, and Passion Pit have been there. You know, it's closest to the Philadelphia airport. So if you're going up that way, I would recommend going to Philadelphia and then renting a car and going over. Usually music festivals are good if you have a group of people going with you. And it's at the Firefly site. So there are hotel options, you know, but apparently camping is the big thing. I mean, with most music festivals, camping tends to be the bigger thing. So check it out. Firefly Music Festival. You might not have heard of it, but it's in June, Dover, Delaware. All right, number eight. We're going to get into some more unusual ones. Some of these you may have heard of, but we're going to start to get into some unusual ones. But number 8, Albuquerque International Balloon Festival. That's right, the Albuquerque International Balloon Festival. It was first started in 1972, so it's pretty cool that, you know, they're still going pretty strong with this festival. And it's a 9-day festival. It takes place in October every year, and it brings balloon enthusiasts from all over the world. Let me just say this. I think they've started to set their criteria a little differently according to some of the websites that I've seen about the festival. But they've had upwards of close to 2,000 balloons at the festival at one point. And that's a lot. That's a lot of balloons. But just think about all those hot air balloons in the air. And this is really a really neat thought, right? But if you're interested, New Mexico is the place to check that out. Number 7. This one we're going to start to get a little bit more unusual. Number 7, Underwater Music Festival in Florida. This is a festival that takes place in July. And if you're snorkeling or scuba diving and you wish it was a little less quiet, as they say, when you're under the water, hey, this is going to be the festival for you. That's right. So you can, it's close to the Florida Keys. So it's located in the area of the Florida Keys National Marine Sanctuary. And you basically get to jam out to songs such as Yellow Submarine and The Little Mermaid, which are broadcast under the water through speakers suspended by boats floating above the reef, and then divers dress up like mermaids and rock stars and pretend to play a live concert underwater. So it's kind of an interesting festival, but hey, if you are a scuba diver, snorkeler, or just water enthusiast, I'm going to recommend this one. Number 6, UFO Festival. And if you don't know where this is, well, I'm going to give you a hint. It's in New Mexico. That's right, Roswell, New Mexico, a.k.a. the UFO capital of the world, as some might call it. And in addition to all the alien costumes that go on with this festival, you can even dress your pet up, you know, as your favorite alien, or just as an alien in general. Or maybe some of your pets look like aliens. I don't know. Maybe they can pull that off. But it's a really neat kind of festival. But they also give tours of the alien crash site. So you can get a tour in Roswell in the crash site of the UFO crash site. That is allegedly the UFO crash site. But there is also a 5K run called the Alien Chase. So there's a lot of different neat things to go and things that are going on. But if you're into UFOs and aliens, hey, check it out. Go to Roswell. Number five. This one's a little bit odd, and it's odd for me to say it since I live so close to where this festival takes place. The Great Texas Mosquito Festival, which is in July. And it's in Clute, Texas. And this is a 3-day festival, and it's held at the end of every July to honor the mosquitoes. So basically, it apparently originally started to promote the city of Clute, and the unique festival has grown to it draws over 13,000 people every year. Now, it doesn't sound like a lot, but 13,000 people for a mosquito festival is a lot. And yeah, if I'm not really a bug person as far as that goes, so this one is a little odd. But one of the funny things there's interesting things about the festival, that they have what's called the mosquito legs contest. So they have a contest called the mosquito legs, and that's where you literally show off your legs and are judged by your mosquito-ness. So you could win, and it would be interesting to get to win and have a little trophy or plaque that was Mr. or Miss Mosquito Legs, for the year. Number four, Twins Festival in Ohio. This takes place in August up in Ohio. It's called the Twins Festival. And if you haven't guessed, yeah, it's about twins. And not only that, it's in Twinsburg, Ohio. I know, right? I am hilarious. No, but I didn't make it up, so I can't take credit for that joke. But yes, it is in Twinsburg, Ohio, and the annual Twins Day Festival started 43 years ago. That's a long time for a festival. And it's for twins all around the world to gather together and celebrate their unique togetherness, according to the website. So every June, thousands of sets of twins come dressed up based on the theme of the festival. Some years, I think this year I read somewhere it was going to be 2-player mode. And so there's different years and different themes, so you come dressed up as this theme, but there's lots to do. There's Twingo, cornhole, volleyball, a talent contest, and of course the double take parade. But apparently the most coveted part of the festival is the twins contest, and that's where twins can enter in a division based on the theme or their age or most alike or least alike. So there's lots of different categories. So hey, there you go, Ohio. Way to go. The Twins Festival. All right. Number three. I thought about this one as my number one, but I put it as number 3. Mike the Headless Chicken Festival. That's right. You heard that right. Mike the Headless Chicken Festival. This annual festival is in Frutia, Colorado. And this is a festival dedicated to the amazing story of a chicken's life, a chicken that lived after having his head allegedly cut off. So it's an interesting story. They believe that it missed one of the arteries and the head was kind of off, and they found a way to feed it or something, and it, lived for another year or so or something like that. So this festival has been dedicated to honoring that headless chicken, which apparently his name is Mike. But there's all kinds of things like a 5K run, disc golf tournament, wing and peep eating contest, live music. It's got food. There's lots of booths, and it's just a fun weekend. So if you're looking for something in September in Colorado, you ought to check out Mike the Headless Chicken Festival. Not many people can say they've been to that festival. All right, number two, the Mattoon Bagel Festival in Mattoon, Illinois. That's right. And this one I actually really would love to attend because I love bagels. Again, with food. All you got to do is dangle food in front of me. But Lender's Bagels accidentally started this festival 30 years ago with a free bagel breakfast, and the locals apparently have just been crazy about this. So the Small Towns Bagel Fest is a 4-day celebration dedicated to the breakfast food. So if you've ever wanted to have a festival dedicated to breakfast food, this is it. This is the Bagel Festival. Between this and the Strawberry Festival, which is close to Pasadena, I mean, those are two, like, ooh, food, yum, delicious. But anyway, the Bagel Festival is in Mattoon, Illinois. It takes place in July, usually mid to late July. This year's celebration was supposed to be July 14th through the 18th, but again, COVID had different plans. But there's a Miss Bagel contest, live entertainment. There's even a Bagel Fest parade. And of course, the infamous free bagel breakfast on the last morning of the festival. So there you go. It's a 4-day celebration. So check it out. The Mattoon Bagel Fest. And my number one oddest or most bizarre festival that you might not have heard of, that is the World of Fairies Festival. It's in South Elgin, Illinois. Congratulations, Illinois. You have the top 2 bizarrest, most unusual festivals I have never heard of. Doesn't mean that they're not a lot of fun, but hey, kudos to you. But the World of Fairies Festival is has all kinds of things dedicated to fairies, from fairy dance lessons and tea parties in the wildflower garden to gypsy belly dancing, bubble shows, mystical merchants. I mean, anyone can be a fairy at the World of Fairies Festival. It's a very whimsical day, is what I read. It's a 2-day event in South Elgin, Illinois, and it's been a tradition for about 11 years now. It typically takes place in early August. So this year, again, with different plans from COVID, but I'm sure it'll be back next year. So if you are very into fairies, you love getting into costume, and I just really encourage you to check out the World of Fairies Festival in South Elgin, Illinois. So there you go. That is my top 10 most bizarre or oddest festivals that you might not have heard of. And there are some good ones in there that you might want to check out. So just because they're odd doesn't mean they're not fun. I hope you've been inspired, guys, to take a trip this year or look to start planning one. It's never too late to start traveling. It can open our eyes to new experiences, even unlock things about ourselves that we never knew. I believe everyone should travel and explore more of what this world has to offer. It can give us an appreciation and love for so many things. So let's start traveling.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Travel Podcast, part of the GSMC Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type in GSMC to find all of our shows from the GSMC Podcast Network. From travel to health and wellness to entertainment and life and happiness to sex and relationships. You can also follow us on Twitter and Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's episode of the Golden State Media Concepts Travel Podcast.